Hi.
Guys, I must tell you, I made this entire video yesterday, filmed it, fully edited it, scheduled it for uploading, and while I was rewatching it, I just got this sudden visceral urge to rearrange everything on all of my bookshelves, and then I manically proceeded to do just that at about midnight last night, therefore making the video that I made pretty much useless because nothing on my shelves was the same anymore. So here we are for round 2 of me attempting to make this video. You might have noticed I have downsized big time when it comes to my book collection. I have gone from 3 shelves down to 2. I've really just been decluttering honestly everything in my entire life. I've been really being mindful about the things that I am keeping. I am making myself use the whole Marie Kondo method of, is this sparking joy? Do you really need this? And honestly, it has made my life so much better. So I did just that when it came to my books. I really, for the books that I have read that I had on my shelves, I was asking myself, will you reread this? Is this a book that you love, that you want to keep for many years to come? Is this something that you would, read again, annotate, tab? Is it something that you would lend out to a friend? If the answer was no, I got rid of it. Even if it was a book that I did like. If I didn't love it, it needed to go. And then for the books that I had not read, if they have been rotting on my shelf for more than a year, if I was looking at it in the moment and did not think I was going to read it within the next year, it also had to go. So this is what we are left with. I have these 2 bookshelves. I have one more bookshelf that is built into my sort of apartment wall, and then another little one in my bedroom. But this is so much less than I originally had, and honestly, I'm so happy with it, especially happy with it now that I reorganized it for a second time. I'm just feeling good. I love my little personal library. I want it to be at a point one day where every single book I own is just something that I have like tabbed and highlighted and all the spines are creased, and I want someone to be able to walk in and pull any book off the shelf and me to be able to just tell them all about it and love it. So maybe one of these days, but this is what we have for now. I just thought it made sense to show you guys because you've been asking me so much recently for an updated bookshelf tour. So here we are. Let's just get into it. Okay, here goes nothing. I think I'm just gonna start with the left shelf and we'll just work our way around, and I'll try to explain the sort of rhyme or reason that I like to think I have with each of these shelves. First of all, this top one, now that I'm looking at it. A lot of emotions happening here. First of all, my entire John Green collection. Of course, The Fault in Our Stars on display because it is my favorite book of all time. Bright Side by Kim Holden. Haven't read it yet, but I've heard it's really sad. I have a few books on my shelves that I have been holding on to for a while because I've been wanting to do a video where I read like only sad books for a week. I'm making myself do it. I want to do it sometime soon. I feel like I've been talking about it for a year, but I am determined. I've heard a lot of good things about that book, but also it's apparently very painful. So I'm coming for it very soon. In the middle here, I have one of my best friends in the whole world, Morgan Page. These are her 3 books. If you have not checked her out, please do. I just love her so much. Normal People by Sally Rooney. Just rip my heart out of my chest. Why don't you? Ugly Love, pretty much the only Colleen Hoover book I still own because it is my favorite. Couple of other sad books I have not read yet, and a sad book I have definitely read and scarred me for life in a good way, I think, question mark, Never Cried More. Ugh, I can't talk about it. Down here, I feel like this is sort of my scholar shelf, like my, I don't know, very like pretentious, prestigious sort of shelf. Not really, I don't know. Donna Tartt, I have talked about her so much this year. Y'all are probably sick of it. The Secret History is one of my new all-time favorites. I feel like she's permanently gonna be on display. My couple of Nicholas Sparks books that I'm always going to have. A couple that I have not read, A Little Life, I will get to one of these days. I just feel like it's a big undertaking. I've seen people sobbing their eyes out to it. I want to read it. I love this special, I think this is the UK edition that I got. I like it a lot better than the cover where it's just like the guy crying on it. So I will eventually read it. This was a thriller that got sent to me that looks interesting. Haven't read it yet though. Visible Life of Addie LaRue. My heart. Have a tattoo for her right here on my arm. If We Were Villains, very similar to The Secret History. Call Me By Your Name, haven't read yet. It is on my, these 2 books, honestly, both are very much on my priority list for my TBR. Call Me By Your Name and The Virgin Suicides. I am dying to read both of them. I love the movie for Call Me By Your Name. Haven't watched the movie yet for The Virgin Suicides. Is it a movie or a series? I know that it's something. Haven't watched it yet, but I have a feeling I'm really gonna love it. Dead Romantics, I have my little ghosty with it because it is a book about a ghostwriter that can see ghosts. Highly recommend, especially for fall. Moving down. This is kind of my shelf of all of my rom-coms that I have left, which is crazy because rom-coms I feel like used to take up like 3 of my shelves, and now this is all I have left. It's sort of the rom-coms and then my hockey books in the middle, which are not quite rom-coms, these books, but they do kind of have the same illustrated vibe, so put them here. Also, a lot of little trinkets on this shelf. Let me explain. Starting over here, The Hating Game. The UK edition and the US edition because it is my favorite rom-com of all time, and in the story, the female main character collects little Smurf figures, and I found this little Smurf figure at an antique store here in Dallas, so had to buy him so he could go here next to the Hating Game books. Up next, the Bellinger Sisters duet. This is a Schitt's Creek inspired rom-com duet about 2 sisters. I adore this duet. It made me cry at the end. It Happened One Summer is becoming a movie. It's in the works. I cannot wait for that. We've got Stitch up top here on a little surfboard because it kind of goes with the theme. And then my little hockey section in the middle here, my book, My Hockey Romance Between the Blue. Little insider information. This is a duet, and the second book in the duet, called The Fine Line, is going to be coming out sometime this winter, in the next few months. I am working hard on it, and I'm so excited about it. So proud of it. Is, I think, the best book I've ever written. So if you're into that, read this now and prepare for it. And then the Hymn duet by Elle Kennedy and Serena Bowen. This is an MM Friends, 2 strangers, 2 lovers romance that just like is my entire heart and soul. Like Wes and Jamie own me, and I think about them all the time. Red, White, and Royal Blue, my other MM little rom-com sort of moment on the shelf. And then a few that I have not read. I haven't read The Weather Girl yet, haven't read The Long Game by Lana Armis, but Love Hypothesis, of course, iconic. And then Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter is probably my second favorite rom-com of all time. And I have another little Stitch figure, just reading a book with this ugly duckling. I didn't intend to go through every single book, but alas, here we are. You guys know I love to ramble. This shelf, I am so happy with how it came out. I'm sorry, this is so colorful and beautiful. Obviously, on the left there, we have one of my, I think, 5 sets of Twilight books. This is my like sort of 80s VHS tape cover editions. Love the colors. They just really match my apartment. And then I have my little Max pop figure from Stranger Things because it goes with the sort of 80s vibes. And then the Boys of Tommen series, which could not be more different than Twilight, but again, the colors really match. And then Saving 6 on display because Joey Lynch is just everything to me. I miss him. I adore him. If you haven't read the series yet, it will hurt you, but in the best way possible. This is my sort of dark romance section, I guess. I need to buy the rest of the Balance series by Lucia Franco, the spiciest series I've ever read. I love it. It's taboo, it's controversial, but I was waiting for the discreet covers to come out, and they have come out months ago. I just haven't bought them yet, but I just have this one. The first book in the series that she signed when I met her. She was an angel. Anyways, all my Penelope Douglas books, my 2 editions of Credence, the Devil's Night series with my skulls that represent the masks of each of the 4 horsemen. My best friend made these for me. She is an angel and I love them so much. My cats love them too. They knock them over just about every single night, but you know what? It's worth it. I'll just keep putting them back. Down here we have another set of Twilight books that I honestly just didn't have anywhere else to put them, so they live down here. This is the little white editions for some anniversary. Okay. Moving on to shelf number 2. Of course, Jessa Hastings has an entire shelf in this house because I will never understand her mind. She is just incredible. The Magnolia Park series is just about my favorite series of all time, and these books are just beautiful. I have the original editions and then the new traditionally published editions that the publishers sent me, which was so nice. And I have my little beehive up here I got from Target because if you know, you know, bees are a big part of Magnolia Parks. Also got a little bee tattoo for that. And then this is just a little like blueberry pie thing that I also got from an antique store. Can you tell I like trinkets? I'm a big trinket gal. I like getting them from old stores. I just feel like they have a little story and they just go so well on my shelf. Anyways, this shelf, very important to me. I feel like this is my sort of historical fiction shelf, question mark. Also just books that mean a lot to me. So Taylor Jenkins Reid, her whole little section that I have right here, these are my favorite of her books. The two that I just will always own, Daisy Jones and the Six is my favorite. I think about it every single day. I also have a Daisy Jones tattoo. I'm not gonna go through a tattoo tour right now. I have a video of that on my channel. I'll stop talking about them here. Carrie Soto is back, like gave me an intervention that I needed. It was like a come to Jesus meeting. Love it, but it also hurt my feelings in a good way. This one just means everything to me. Taylor Jenkins Reid is like my mother author and John Green is my father author. I feel like I've always said that. They are just my two absolute favorites. And then some more favorites here. Perks of Being a Wallflower is iconic. The Spectacular Now is one of my favorite books of all time. Before We Were Strangers is such a good friends to strangers to lovers story that I cannot recommend enough. And then right here we have another one of my books. This is kind of my little 80s section I have going here. My book, Something Rad, is an 80s enemies to lovers fake dating romance, and the male main character was inspired by Steve Harrington from Stranger Things, which is why I have my little Steve Harrington Funko Pop here. This is the new sort of alternate edition cover that I'm just in love with. This is the original illustrated cover. And then A Song of Sin and Salvation is my very good friend L.H. Blake's book that is also an 80s rom-com, and it is inspired by Eddie Munson and Chrissy. So if you're into that, if you always wanted their story, definitely recommend this. This book was genuinely so good. I'll Stop the World is a book set in the 80s. It's like a thriller, I think, that kind of jumps to the past, to the 80s, and then present day. Haven't read it yet. The Outsiders, my favorite book that I read in school. I love it. And then another book by the same author as The Outsiders, Rumblefish. I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to. So still have it there on my shelf. Moving down, we have my two Mariana Zapata books that I still own. I've read just about all of her books, and these two are my favorites, the ones that I still just think about. It breaks my heart because these covers do not exist anymore. She's been picked up by a publisher, and the covers are now like illustrated, and I don't mind an illustrated cover, obviously. Like, they're cute, they're fun, but these covers just represent the books so well, so it kills me. But still, regardless, definitely recommend both of them. I have not read this yet, Always Mine by Laura Pavlov, but it's beautiful, so I'm keeping it. And then The Simple Wild, I feel embarrassed to say I haven't read this book yet. It's been on the TBR for so long. This is one of the few that has been rotting on the shelf for like 3 years now that I can't get rid of, because I will eventually read it, I promise. Moving on to my last of my books. Actually, this is the first book that I ever published, When Fate Breaks. If you haven't seen this yet, this is the new cover for it. So it had originally had a illustrated version, and I've come out with this new version that I just love so much. It represents the book so well. It's got the more, you know, it's got the kind of moody vibes that are within the story. So love that. Another Stitch figure with the plant, because obviously you can see there's a theme here. And then a couple of summer books, Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. If you've read Love in Other Words, in my opinion, it's a better version of it. I think about it a lot. People We Meet on Vacation is also, it's becoming either a show or a movie on Netflix. I can't remember, but Tom Blythe is playing Alex, and I'm not going to recover from that. So very, very excited. This is another one of those sad books that I'm determined to read. Pack Up the Moon by Kristen Higgins. I don't know if I'm ready, but I'm gonna try to be one of these days. Now, moving down from here, we kind of enter my horror slash thriller section that kind of bleeds down into these two shelves. Coraline is basically my favorite movie of all time. It is my comfort movie, and it is based on this novel by Neil Gaiman, and I have my original copy, and then this is a special edition copy that I got recently that I am just in love with, so it has to be on display. Over here, got a couple of little vampire books, a few of my favorite thrillers here in the middle, and then here's my little Stephen King section. I'm actually in the process of reading it right now. I'm listening to it on audio, so that's why I have a bookmark in there. And then I have my little Pennywise that I also got at an antique store, believe it or not. Like, he just had to come home with me. I am obsessed with Bill Skarsgård, therefore he had to sit on this shelf. I totally missed this little trinket. This is a long story short, but me and my friend went to Boston like a year or so ago, and we realized that about 30 minutes outside of Boston is this little town of Rockport, Massachusetts. And if you have ever seen the movie The Proposal, it is my favorite rom-com movie ever, just one of my favorite movies in general. Rockport, Massachusetts is actually Sitka, Alaska. where that movie takes place. So this is the iconic little red building from that town. I had to bring this home with me, so it's just sitting here next to my little summer books. Anyways, back on track, ADHD. Here are some other books. A lot of these I have not read. Verity is my other Colleen Hoover book that I own. I have said it repeatedly, I'll say it again. I think she should just be a thriller author because I think it is truly her best work, if I'm being honest. She's very good at writing these suspenseful, crazy novels. Here are a bunch of thrillers I have not read. I've read Bunny, crazy time, really enjoyed it, but most of these I have not read. And then a few more fantasy books I have not read. This is another vampire one. Caraval's supposed to be amazing. And then this is sort of like a Fallen Angel sort of series. So we'll check that out eventually. I'm determined to. And this is where the bookshelf organization just turns into chaos. These were just the books that I had left over that did not fit anywhere. And it drives me crazy, but there always ends up being a little section like this. So Kristen Hanna, I've heard so many good things about. People love her. She has a lot of books that are very long and deal with very, like, you know, deep and important historical topics usually, and she's just supposed to be really good, and I've heard a lot of things specifically about The Great Alone, so we'll read that soon. A couple more sad ones. The Light We Lost and Underneath the Sycamore Tree that I've been meaning to read. One Star Romance is a rom-com by Laura Henkin. Haven't read it yet, but she's written some other books that I really love, so the publisher sent me this book, so I'm excited to read it. And then This Is Where I Leave You. Haven't read it yet, and we have Kylo Ren, for no apparent reason, separating these two sections because I just felt like there needed to be some separation. If I must address this down here, first of all, this little N is like a book that is cut out in the shape of an N. I got it from an antique store once again, and these are two books that I got in Philadelphia whenever I visited, one on Alexander Hamilton, one on Benjamin Franklin. I'm very obsessed with history, to a nerd level extent, and I told myself, like, on a whim, whenever I was in Philadelphia, I was like, I'm gonna read a book about every single person that signed the Declaration of Independence. Like, I don't know what I was on, but I'm a massive Hamilton stan, like the musical, and I guess also the man. He's pretty iconic, but so that's why I got that. And then Benjamin Franklin on that vacation, learned so many interesting things about him, so bought that book too. Have I read them? No. I've read a little bit of the Benjamin Franklin one. I feel like you can see my bookmark was here. Anyways, that's random. Let's go look at my other shelf. So over here on the other side of my apartment, I have this little set of bookshelves. It's pretty much housing all of my fantasy books. Up here I have most of the Shadowhunters world. I decluttered a lot of these books. There's still books being written in the series, at least there were a couple of years ago. I had to kind of be honest with myself and say I think I've pretty much given it up. I just don't think as an adult that it's hitting. I tried to read one of them in the last year, and I just, but these are the sort of like big three series, especially The Infernal Devices means so much to me. That's one of my favorite series I've ever read, and these three just look really good together. Mortal Instruments, Infernal Devices, and The Dark Artifices, so I just thought I'd keep these on display because I do love them. They did mean a lot to me, especially in my younger years. And then over here we have the Rick Riordan world. I read The Lightning Thief in 7th grade, and it just really started my absolute love and obsession of Greek mythology. Proceeded to read the entire series. I still love it so much. I have not read these other two series, The Heroes of Olympus, Magnus Chase. There's a few other series in this world. I am telling myself I'll eventually get to it, but who knows when that's gonna happen. I need to watch the Percy Jackson series, the new one that is on Disney. I've heard so many good things, so maybe if I watch that I'll get back into this world. But yeah, and then I have Edith Hamilton's Mythology, which is the book that I read in 7th grade, also along with The Lightning Thief, and yeah, that's where I learned a lot about mythology. Down here, we've got the big ones, Twilight and Harry Potter. Here are my original Twilight books, prized possessions. I will never get rid of them, sorry. Harry Styles is just staring into your soul here, ignore him. Will never get rid of my original Twilight books. I also have The Host, which is Stephenie Meyer's other book, and my little glittery apple I got from Hobby Lobby because it just makes sense. I have Edward Cullen up there, sparkly edition from Hot Topic, circa like, I don't even know what year. And then The Meadow Scene from the Nook Knack shop on Etsy. Love her, love the little meadow. And then obviously another set of Twilight books that have the trees. Here are my Harry Potter books. I have one of my wands. This is my Sirius Black one. the Philosopher's Stone in Spanish, and then on top of that we have the iconic car from the Chamber of Secrets and onward in the series. Here we have my bound copy of Manacled, which is a Draco Malfoy, hello, Hermione fanfic. I highly recommend it, but I also don't, because like it'll hurt your feelings. I can't talk about it. I'll eventually make a video on this book, I promise. I've been promising it for like a year. I will make a video. As you can tell, a few more pop figures over here, a few of my Harry Potter ones, my platform 9 3/4, which works very well as a bookend, my Quidditch Harry with the golden snitch, and then Harry with his scarf and head wig, and then back there I have my little Big Ben that I got from the first time I visited London. So that is what we have going on over here. And then lastly, I have this final little bookshelf in the corner of my bedroom. It's not all books, but there are definitely several books on here, so I just thought I'd go through it. Little Women gets its own special shelf because it's out of this world. It's out of this galaxy. It's on a whole different plane level than the rest of the books I own. Again, I will make a video on Little Women soon. I've been putting it off because it's gonna probably be like a 45-minute dissertation, but it's coming. Down here we have my little hockey shelf, my Dallas Stars shelf with my Jake Ottinger is my favorite player. We call him Otter, so that's what's happening here. Another copy of Between the Blue, and then my Jamie Benn pop figure. I have another one that you saw in that shelf in that room, and this is the older Jamie, that's the younger Jamie. Anyways, he looks like he's skating on ice. This is a little paperweight that I got from my company, and I'm like, that is just too perfect, so that's what's happening. More copies of When Fate Breaks, and then I have my little candles that the Nerf Herder Co. She is an amazing girl. She has this little shop where she makes candles for all different types of fandoms. She makes candles, wax melts, sprays. She has all sorts of products, and she even like clothing. I bought some clothing from her, but she approached me, wanted to do a collection based on When Fate Breaks, like shortly after it came out, which blew my mind. So these are prized possessions. I will always keep them. They smell like how my two main characters smell, described in the book. It is amazing. Moving down. We have my Something Rad shelf. This is the illustrated version that I was talking about. It is still available on Amazon. It will always be available. I love it. And then a couple of things that kind of go with the book, 80s references in general, Dirty Dancing, Top Gun. We've got my little headphones, little cassette tape, very random shelf, Harry Styles. There is a book in there, Harry Styles and the clothes he wears, you know, really important content. And then more Harry Potter things with my Philosopher's Stone Slytherin 20-year anniversary edition. So yeah, there we go. I really gave you guys the full tour. I love that I am out of breath and kind of sweating after doing a bookshelf tour. Like, that really says a lot about my physical condition. I want to thank you guys for watching this video, for sticking with me through all of my different phases, all my different sort of eras of my life. I feel like my tastes have really changed in books this past year, and it's made me feel really good that whenever I'm doing book reviews of these totally different books that I never would have read a few years ago, I'm still seeing a lot of like familiar names and faces. You guys are always there leaving comments, and that just like feels really special. It feels like it's like one big group of friends and we're just all sitting here having a book club, and that's all I ever wanted this channel to be. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.